Hello again, welcome back to the Unloved JDM channel. So this, yet again, is not JDM. This keeps happening, but I do keep saying it. We work on various things around here. And if you look over my shoulder, you'll see a overly excited James, because if you saw the last video, seen Vauxhall over there, and he's got a VXR in front of him. Now, this is not a video about James and his love for Vauxhall, unfortunately, as much as James would like it to be. Let me show you the car, and I'll tell you what we are going to do. Okay, so what you can hear is James grinding in the background, so I'm going to talk over him a little bit. Now, what we have for this car is the Pro Sport, I believe it's an Evo stepper motor gauge. This is to go in this little vent, which was replacing the little air vent on the right hand side. Now, there's a few bits of wiring in this because it's all digital. It is basically like a boost gauge and what have you, I believe. I haven't actually nosed too much of it yet, I've just been shown the general idea. Let's get to it. Alright, so unpackage the box that this all comes in. So that's our actual gauge itself. That's a little display that you'll see with all the buttons on it, and the film's still on it at the moment, as you'd expect. So as for wiring, if you're good at wiring, you'll be alright. If you're a bit concerned by it, by all means speak to somebody else who can help you a little bit. So as you look at the plugs on the back of it, the 4 white plugs at the bottom is what we're aiming for. The top left one is going to be the power harness, which I'll show you in a second. The top right one, which we won't be using on this application, is to be what's called a daisy chain, or what they call a daisy chain. So basically, if you've got a couple of these sat side by side and you're linking it all together, it saves you running power twice, so you can link it straight from one gauge to the next gauge. As I say, we won't be using that on this one. And the bottom right one, this one there, will be the actual sensor. So this is what's going to pick up from this little thing. So this is going to live probably somewhere up in the engine bay, depending on how long the wiring is, or we might do it the other way and feed the vacuum into the car itself. That's what picks up your boost and regulates it into an electronic signal that this can pick up and understand. They do supply this, which is basically like a washer tubing, if you like. The owner of the car doesn't want to put this in it because it's a little bit unsightly, so he's chosen a selection of new blue vacuum hoses to replace that. This is a little air filter, so that's got to go in the line as well to stop any debris getting into that sensor and causing any issues. And then this is the 3D printed, I believe, vent replacement. So not as pretty on the back, but that's the business side, that's what you see. So this gauge will then, quite nicely, to be honest, live in there. Now, I can't comment on where he's got all his bits and pieces from because he hasn't supplied through us, the customer supplied them himself, but I'm sure they'll be easy to find on Google. Right, wiring side of things. Now, this is where people get a little bit concerned. Now, Pro Sport actually make this somewhat easy if you are confident, as I say. So that there is the daisy chain harness. We won't be using that, but that would link one gauge to the next gauge. But as I say, we don't need that. This is one of the ones we do need. This is the power harness. So we've got 4 wires on this one. I'm not entirely sure what the colour are at the moment, but we'll have probably a red power supply, a black ground, a white possibly ignition, or if it's not the white one, it'll be the orange one. One will be the ignition switch, so it comes on when you put the ignition on. As I say, if it's not that, it'll be the illumination wire, and the illumination wire would be the remaining one, whichever colour that works out to be. So that's that one, and then this one, just quite simply, that plugs into the boost sensor, and that plugs into the back of the gauge. So let's see how all these pieces go together, and I'll update you when we get a little bit further into it. So, little update, we've got it in place, not in, but working. If there is, yes, there is a light in here. So we've got half the dashboard apart because the owner wanted us to wire it to the bottom of the cigarette light socket, which is basically there. So we've been under there, wired it all in that direction, so it'll all be clean. So the stereo's got to go back in, the trim's got to go back in, the light switch has got to go back in. But let me show you inside the beast, so to speak.
Up there, if my camera focuses on it, you can see where we've hidden the little box. So the blue boost pipe comes straight through the firewall, nice and tidy out the way, and goes straight up. That's a spare wire cord up there. Goes straight up. Why is my camera not focusing? And goes straight into the module. So that should do its job, even though it's out of focus. Let's put the rest of the trim back in, mount this properly, and see how we go.
A few moments later.
So, all back together, looking like it should. All back in there looking nice, like nobody's ever had it apart, more specifically. Let's see how this goes. So we're outside, there's a bit of sun in it now, but it's been tested and this is what it does. So we've just changed these buttons, changes the colour a bit apparently. White's a little bit better to see on camera, but we've just set it to green because it kind of matches the red on the dashboard. Sorry, red even. Yeah, so that is it. It's in. It looks like it lives at home. I'm going to give the owner of the car the satisfaction of taking that off. And when you give it, I'm not going to go mad because it's not my car. When you give it a little rev, it does work like it should. No warning lights, no issues, nothing at all, and it keeps its memory. So, all wired in, all done. As I've said many times, we do work on more than just Japanese cars, so it's good to show you things like this. Leave me a bit of feedback on this. If you want to see more stuff like this, by all means let me know. Leave a comment down below and like the video. If you don't want to see more stuff like this, don't click on the video. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.